Some tunnels are meant to take you somewhere. These ones make sure you never come back. Beneath the crumbling facade of Singapore's old Changi Hospital, a secret world lies hidden, a labyrinth of tunnels, sealed from the public and shrouded in decades of fear. The hospital itself, perched on a hill overlooking the sea, was once a symbol of colonial power and modern medicine. But its underground passages have become the stuff of nightmares. Construction began in 1935, when the British sought to build a state-of-the-art medical facility. But as war loomed, the hospital's purpose changed. During the Japanese occupation, the tunnels beneath became rumored sites of torture, secret executions, and clandestine medical experiments. Some say the walls themselves absorbed the screams. After the war, the hospital returned to civilian use, but the tunnels remained off-limits. Nurses whispered about cold spots and sudden chills in the corridors above. Patients reported hearing footsteps echoing from below, even when the lower levels were locked tight. In the 1990s, as the hospital prepared to close, rumors intensified. Staff described seeing shadowy figures darting between doorways. One nurse, interviewed years later, recalled a night when she heard a woman sobbing in the darkness, only to find the ward empty. The tunnels themselves are a maze, narrow, damp, and lined with rusted pipes. Urban explorers who have managed to slip past the barricades describe a suffocating silence, broken only by the drip of water and the distant clang of metal. Some claim the air grows colder the deeper you go. One explorer, who asked to remain anonymous, described finding a heavy iron door deep within the tunnels. It was covered in strange symbols, he said. When we tried to open it, we heard footsteps running toward us from the darkness. We ran, but the footsteps kept pace until we reached the surface. Others have reported sudden, unexplainable scratches on their arms and necks, as if something unseen lashed out in the dark. Some explorers emerge pale and shaken, refusing to speak about what they saw. The most chilling stories involve apparitions, nurses in old-fashioned uniforms, soldiers with blank eyes, and children who vanish when approached. One group of investigators captured a recording of a woman's voice whispering in Japanese, repeating the word help. Paranormal investigators claim the energy in the tunnels is oppressive, as if the very walls are holding on to decades of agony. EMF meters spike, batteries drain in seconds, and cameras malfunction without warning. One particularly terrifying account comes from a group who found an iron gurney covered in what looked like dried blood and strange inscriptions in Japanese etched on the wall behind it. Their flashlight batteries failed seconds later, plunging them into total darkness. "We heard something breathing right next to us," one of them later recalled. "But when we turned on our phones for light, there was nothing there. Just the sound of water dripping and our own hearts pounding." Today, the tunnels are officially sealed off, but that hasn't stopped thrill seekers from trying to get inside. Some return with stories of being watched by unseen eyes, or feeling icy hands brush against their skin. Others come back silent, refusing to ever return. Local legends say the tunnels were used to transport bodies during the war, and that the restless spirits of those who died there still wander the darkness. Some believe the tunnels connect to other haunted sites across Singapore, forming a hidden network of the dead. The Singapore government has dismissed many of the legends, calling them urban myths. But no one is allowed near the tunnels anymore, and those who try say something down there watches them from just beyond the beam of the light. Despite the warnings, the legend of the old Changi Hospital tunnels continues to grow. Each year, new stories surface, of voices in the dark, of cold gusts where no airflow exists, and of apparitions that vanish when the lights come on. For some, the tunnels are a test of courage. For others, they are a place of tragedy and loss. But for everyone who enters, there is one constant: the feeling that you are not alone. The old Changi Hospital tunnels remain sealed, their secrets locked away beneath layers of concrete and fear. But the stories persist, whispered in the shadows, waiting for the next brave soul to listen. If you ever find yourself near the old hospital, listen closely. You might hear the echo of footsteps, the distant cry of a patient, or the soft whisper of a nurse who never left. Some tunnels are meant to take you somewhere. These ones make sure you never come back. On the northeastern coast of Taiwan, carved into the cliffs above the restless sea, lies Keelung Tunnel No. 2. Once a vital artery for military convoys and civilian travelers, the tunnel now sits in uneasy silence, its entrance swallowed by overgrown foliage and the weight of decades-old secrets. Built during the Japanese colonial era in the early 20th century, the tunnel was engineered to withstand bombings and natural disasters. Archival photographs show workers in straw hats, their faces obscured by dust, laboring under harsh conditions. Some say the construction was cursed from the start. Several workers vanished, their disappearances never explained. As the years passed, the tunnel became a symbol of progress, until tragedy struck. In the 1950s, a series of fatal car accidents occurred within its shadowy confines. Survivors described losing control of their vehicles as if an unseen force gripped the steering wheel. Locals began to avoid the tunnel after dark, whispering that it was haunted by the restless dead. The stories grew darker. Drivers reported seeing shadowy figures darting across the road, only to vanish when headlights swept over them. Others glimpsed pale faces in their rearview mirrors, staring back with hollow eyes before dissolving into the gloom. But its reputation quickly turned from convenience to nightmare. Locals began avoiding the tunnel at night after multiple reports of fatal car crashes. One chilling account comes from a taxi driver who, late one rainy night, picked up a silent passenger near the tunnel's entrance. The woman, dressed in white, gave no address, only a gesture toward the darkness. When the driver reached the far end, he turned to find the back seat empty, still damp from the rain. And drivers began spreading eerie stories, shadowy figures darting across the road, ghostly faces in rearview mirrors, and the overwhelming feeling of being followed. Some say the tunnel is a bridge between worlds. During the war, it was rumored to be the site of secret executions. Prisoners were marched into the darkness and never seen again. Locals claim that on certain nights you can hear muffled cries echoing from the walls, and the air grows icy cold, even in the height of summer. The tunnel, originally constructed in the Japanese colonial era, is said to have witnessed countless executions during the war, many carried out in secret and buried within the surrounding forest. Urban explorers who have braved the tunnel at night describe a suffocating silence, broken only by the drip of water and the distant sound of footsteps that never seem to catch up. Some emerge shaken, refusing to speak of what they saw inside. The energy within Keelung No. 2 has earned it a place on every paranormal enthusiast's map. The most infamous legend is that of the White Lady, a young woman in a flowing dress who appears motionless in the center of the tunnel. Drivers swerve to avoid her, only to crash into the walls. When they crawl from the wreckage, the woman is gone, leaving only the echo of her presence behind. The most disturbing reports involve a young woman in a white dress who appears suddenly, motionless, in the middle of the tunnel. Drivers who swerve to avoid her often crash, but when they crawl from the wreckage, there's no one there. Others claim that if you stop your car in the tunnel and turn off the engine, you'll hear faint tapping on your windows, soft at first, then growing louder and more insistent, as if something is desperate to get inside. Others say that if you stop your car and turn off the engine, you'll hear tapping on your window, faint at first, then growing louder. Paranormal investigators have documented sudden drops in temperature, sometimes more than 10 degrees Celsius within minutes. Electronic devices malfunction, batteries drain, and EVP recorders capture chilling whispers in Japanese and Mandarin, repeating the same phrase, "Go back." Taiwanese ghost hunters have recorded temperature drops of over 10 degrees Celsius within minutes, and EVP recordings of voices whispering in Japanese and Mandarin. One local legend tells of a group of students who entered the tunnel on a dare. They emerged hours later, pale and silent, refusing to speak of what happened. One was found days later, wandering the forest, muttering about the eyes in the dark. Though authorities deny any supernatural activity, they've since diverted most traffic through alternate routes. Keelung Tunnel No. 2 remains open, but locals call it the road to the other side. Today, the tunnel is rarely used at night. The government has installed new lighting and security cameras, but the sense of unease remains. Some say the spirits have simply moved deeper into the shadows, waiting for the next traveler to pass through. For the people of Keelung, the tunnel is more than just a passage through rock. It is a place where the past refuses to rest, and where the boundary between the living and the dead grows thin. Even now, as the city bustles above, the darkness below waits, patient and watchful. If you ever find yourself on the northeastern coast of Taiwan and the road ahead disappears into a tunnel carved from stone, remember the stories. Some tunnels are meant to take you somewhere. This one may never let you leave. In the mist-shrouded hills outside Kyoto, hidden among dense forests and winding roads, lies the infamous Kiyotaki Tunnel. Stretching 444 meters, a number considered deeply unlucky in Japan, this tunnel is more than just a passage through rock. It is a place where fear lingers in the air, and even the bravest locals hesitate to enter after dark. The tunnel was constructed in the 1920s, during a period of rapid modernization. According to local legend, it was built using forced labor, men who toiled in brutal conditions, many of whom perished during construction. Some say their bodies were entombed within the concrete walls, their restless spirits forever trapped in darkness. The number 444 is associated with death in Japanese culture, and many believe the tunnel's length was no accident. Some say it was a warning, a sign that the tunnel would become a gateway between the world of the living and the dead. Over the decades, the tunnel's reputation grew darker. Drivers reported sudden hallucinations, phantom hands gripping the steering wheel, engines stalling for no reason, and the overwhelming sense that something unseen was watching from the shadows. Pedestrians who dared to walk the tunnel at night described feeling icy gusts of wind, hearing footsteps echoing behind them, and seeing a woman in a tattered kimono standing motionless near the midpoint. Her eyes are said to be hollow, her mouth moving in a silent whisper that chills the soul. Some witnesses claim that if you look into her eyes, you'll be haunted by nightmares for weeks. Others say she vanishes the moment you try to approach, leaving only the echo of her presence and the sound of dripping water. The most chilling legend is that of the mirror. At the far end of the tunnel, there was once a mirror mounted on the rock wall. Locals believed that if you gazed into it at midnight, you would see the face of your own corpse staring back at you. After a series of mysterious suicides in the nearby woods, the mirror was quietly removed, but some say its curse lingers, and that the spirits it revealed still wander the tunnel and the forest beyond. Taxi drivers in Kyoto often refuse fares that include Kiyotaki Tunnel, especially after sunset. One driver recounted picking up a passenger late at night, a woman in white, silent and unmoving. When he reached the end of the tunnel, she had vanished, leaving only a damp seat behind. Hikers report that compasses and phones stop working the moment they approach the tunnel. Some describe hearing voices, whispering their names from the darkness, or feeling invisible hands brush against their skin as they pass through. Paranormal investigators have documented sudden drops in temperature, sometimes more than 10 degrees in seconds. EMF meters spike, batteries drain, and cameras refuse to focus, as if the tunnel itself is resisting any attempt to reveal its secrets. One investigator described hearing a woman's voice whispering in Japanese, repeating the word Yamete, stop. When he turned, there was no one there, only the endless darkness and the sound of his own heartbeat. Local residents believe the spirits in Kiyotaki are trapped, angry, and desperate to latch on to anyone foolish enough to disturb them. Some say the tunnel is a magnet for tragedy, drawing in those who are already lost. There are stories of drivers who, after passing through the tunnel, find handprints on their windows or discover that their watches have stopped at exactly 4:44 a.m. Others report seeing shadowy figures darting across the road, only to vanish when headlights sweep over them. Some believe the tunnel is a bridge between worlds, a place where the boundary between life and death grows thin. On certain nights, locals claim you can hear muffled cries echoing from the walls, and the air grows so cold it takes your breath away. The tunnel isn't blocked. It's not even hidden. It's just waiting. Locals avoid it, and taxi drivers turn away, but thrill seekers and ghost hunters continue to test their courage, hoping to glimpse the other side. For some, the Kiyotaki Tunnel is a test of bravery. For others, it is a place of tragedy and loss. But for everyone who enters, there is one constant: the feeling that you are not alone. If you ever find yourself on a winding road outside Kyoto, and the headlights reveal a tunnel carved into the hillside, remember the stories. Some tunnels are meant to take you somewhere. This one may never let you leave. Singapore, Taiwan, Japan. These tunnels were meant to connect cities, but they opened gateways to something else. Like, subscribe and turn on notifications for more haunted places that lead straight into the unknown. And remember, it's not always what's ahead of you in the dark. It's what's right behind.